Hoffman from the Public Information Office, joined by guests from the school system, sometimes beyond the school system, but we stay in-house in our show today. Mike Embly is here as Supervisor of Food and Nutrition Services. Today's show is sponsored by the Columbia Bank, a longtime supporter of the radio show and of public education here in Washington County. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Good to see you. We instead of back to school for us, it's you and I doing back to summer every year now.
Here we are.
It's a very busy summer for you guys, and you've created that in many ways. Not that the summer doesn't require, in your department and everywhere else, preparation for the next school year, but you guys are hopping to pull off a full summer program, too. Talk about that.
We are. It's our 7th year of the mobile meal program, the meal machine. We started 7 years ago with 1 vehicle. We're up to 7. And all along, we still run our summer school programs. We feed Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCA, Girl Scouts, our own kids during the summer school programs in the buildings, and then all of the community mobile meal sites. And take a wild guess how many meals we served last summer.
I thousands and thousands, but I can't even imagine what the number is.
6 figures. We were a little over 100,000 meals last summer.
You're kidding me.
No, it was a great year.
That would not have been my guess. That's incredible, and that you guys don't even blink at that, I assume,
no.
Because it's set up for just sheer volume of traffic.
It is, and during the school year, we serve 12 to 13,000 lunches on a given day. So it really isn't, although we operate more sites in the summer than we do during the school year because we're in school buildings, we're out in the community. New this year, we added Hancock, so we are the farthest west we can be. There was a great need up there, and we were happy that we could finally get a truck up to Hancock.
Who identified that? You guys? Those guys, sort of a dual look at? Had you planned on Hancock at some point early on?
Last year, we started to look at areas where, we have to be in an area eligible location, which means if you run the address on the location of the meal machine site, where would your child go to school? And if that school is 50% or more free and reduced, then we can operate the summer mobile meal program free of charge. For kids 18 and under. So we identified areas where we weren't currently located, and that was an area of great need. And we partnered up with the city of Hancock. The YMCA actually has a program up there as well. So we're serving the Y kids, the community of Hancock, and we have some sports teams that are coming down from the school is close by to where we're set up. So that's a big victory for us this summer.
Do each of the locations have a unique quality about them where the partners are different from location to location? Are there that many differences from location to location?
There are subtle differences. Take for instance, we have a couple communities, Cortland Manor. There's a few townhouse communities where it is the specific targeted area, those folks in that little area. Then we have folks, Pangbourne Park, and you're pulling from all over the place. You have Valley Meadows Townhome Community. We have Elgin Station, pulls from all over the place. Otterbein Church downtown. We have sometimes vans will come in, daycares, and let off 10 kids, and they'll sit and have their meal. Then they'll go and go for an activity somewhere. So there are varied differences.
The sites are completely open too.
That's correct.
So it's not just you're not checking addresses. You're not.
You could be from Florida as long as you're 18 or under.
Right.
There's no restrictions. 18 or under, you come and you get a meal.
Well, and there's not been, I assume you haven't noticed any, and I hate to use the word, any abuse of this where folks are coming from Florida because they haven't had lunch.
No.
Yeah.
No. Typically, these are Washington County kids, but we don't. There's no questions asked.
Right. Well, and the marketing of it makes a lot of folks aware. Which is great. The point of this is that these are meals available in whatever the number of cases, for kids and families who may not have resources,
Absolutely.
May not have the wherewithal during the summer months, don't have a structured meal program like those kids would get at school.
Absolutely.
So they have to put in a little bit of effort. But it's really about just getting to the sites.
Absolutely. And I think we're spread out enough. We also have some open sites in school buildings, Salem Avenue, Bester, and Pangbourne, all have the school building open site. So if they actually want to go in, it's an air conditioned facility, they can actually go in and have breakfast and lunch at those facilities as well.
Right. How do you staff these locations?
They're staffed with our current food service assistants and managers. We actually have twice the amount of folks sign up to work than we can put to work. We have that much interest in working during the summer, which is great.
That is great.
And that's what makes us continue to want to build the program to give that extra employment. We're keeping federal dollars right here in Washington County. We're employing people that normally might not have employment during the summer. We're feeding kids that might not normally get food in the summer. So it's kind of a win-win for both sides.
How much of an adjustment is it as far as dollars are concerned, for instance, to add Hancock to the budget, to the program, to the overall layout of the summer across the county?
It's not. We obviously over 7 years, it took us to get 7 vehicles. So we're not outlaying money every year, but we're also using resources that we already have. So really the expenditure, there's some money in marketing. We do some giveaways, but they're federal dollars that pay for the meal and the labor. So it's really not anything extra on our department.
When do you start preparing?
January. We start talking about it in January, especially any programs that we want to do. And we've got some really, I can't wait till January this year because we've got some really neat things that we're going to work on for next year. You interested in hearing about those?
Wait. I was going to ask you about teasing us right now and then saving it for some big unveiling next January. But yeah, I mean, if you have some particulars about what you're discussing, we'll take those.
Yeah, we're really looking at a Toys for Tots in July. It seems that we all focus on that holiday period around December, and there's a lot of efforts done, in that time period for the holidays. And so we're looking at, doing some efforts that we collect toys throughout the school year, and then we distribute them in July to our meal machine sites. Every kid that shows up gets a toy.
You've had some other organizations, agencies, whatever the combination has been, tying into some of your locations in the history of the summer program, where, if I'm not mistaken, you've had other peripheral activities going on, including the meal.
Absolutely, yeah. So like Otterbein Church, they'll do a great job. They do their own activities for the kids. They have a group of singing pastors that come out and entertain the kids.
Maybe food service could do that.
Yes, absolutely. Are you volunteering? We can
no, maybe the community would want that. Yeah. I'm not sure that I would, but that's fine.
All right. They do a great job. We have, and then we partner with the Authentic Community Theater. They come out and do plays, an actual play. They bring sound and props and costumes. The kids love it. We've partnered for the last 5-6 years with the library system, the bookmobile. We have the mobile dental clinic comes out to a lot of our sites. We had the fire department out. I was at a site on Monday and the fire department was there. The police, the school resource officers.
Not on a car.
No, they come out and let the kids look at the fire trucks and explain all the gear. And again, it gives the kids something. A lot of these kids don't have. We learned this a couple of years ago. Staff members said, look, we've got kids, they'll eat their lunch and they're hanging out. Could we do something more? And we got to thinking, it's like, yeah, absolutely. And that's the area we're really focusing on, is that value added, giving those kids something to do. Meal Truck can go on to the next site and we have a group behind that's doing activities. We're always looking for activity sponsors. I'll throw that out.
Yep.
I think next year we're looking at a principal dunk tank. How many of these kids would love to come out in the summer to the meal machine site and see their principal there and
exactly,
dunk them in the cold
any
water.
day, frankly, but
yeah, absolutely.
But while it's summer, right.
We're looking at ice cream trucks, jump houses, any of those type of fun activities that these kids may not normally get a chance to do. We've for the last probably 4 years, our department sponsors, we call it Surprise Day, where every child that shows up on a given day gets it might be a beach ball, it might be a jump rope, and you hand these kids something that's a 50-cent item, and it's like you gave them $100, and it's great. It really is great to see.
If you're just tuning in, this is Lunchtime Live on WJEJ, a monthly partnership with Washington County Public Schools. Today's show is sponsored by the Columbia Bank. Mike Embly is my guest, supervisor of food and nutrition services with our school system. So this is partly meal planning and execution and activity coordination.
Right.
Do you guys do all of that?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not as if folks walk up to your door and say, hey, we have this. Could we join you at XYZ location?
Occasionally. I think that's how the Authentic Community Theater came about. They found us and said, hey, this is what we do. Can we partner with you? Yes. And it's that simple. And then you start the process. But a lot of the other activities, we're taking the lead. We're more than happy to talk with other folks that might want to come out and sponsor an activity.
Right. How do when those discussions are part of the January through spring?
Correct.
And the whole summer is set up.
Correct.
So right now, I could plan on getting the community theater visit at XYZ location in the middle of July.
Correct.
So that calendar's set.
Yep, sure is. And not to say that I'll say I think maybe last year, the year before, we had somebody from the FFA organization that they had been showing their cattle somewhere and wanted to bring calves to it. So it's like said yes, they showed up. The kids loved it. So there's sometimes some ad lib that goes on of it sounds great.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are coming through, we'll take that. That's outstanding. What's served at the locations? How does the menu go over the course of the summer?
So obviously you can't, chili or spaghetti is very hard to package,
Right.
but we do hot foods. A lot of people will say, wow, I would have not thought that. So we have a central production facility. There might be 8 or 10 folks doing central production, and cheeseburgers, chicken patties. We've got turkey sandwiches, pizza. There's some of the kid staples: fruit, vegetable, and milk. It's a required. There's a meal pattern that the USDA sets that we have to follow.
Right. So that's part. You have to follow that all year round,
Correct.
whether it's
Correct.
summer or the regular.
Yeah, summer's a little bit. I'll say it's a little easier in the summer. In the school year, you have vegetable subgroups to hit. The summer they keep it very simple, which is great because it doesn't put barriers out there. I think sometimes, especially smaller systems, they've eliminated some of those barriers, so it does make it a little easier for maybe single operators. We have 7-8 folks in our office that are able to we can divide and conquer versus smaller districts. It might be a one-person operation.
But at the federal level, there's a different set of school year guidelines and summer
That's
guidelines.
correct.
They
Yes.
truly have a set of guidelines for the summer.
They do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you do locally grown for all year round?
We do. Yeah, we do. We work with local produce companies. We work with local orchards, and we're in Washington County,
Right.
and why not? We should be supporting local agriculture.
What can't you do in the summer? Is there something that's right on the fringe of boy that we almost might be able to pull this off? That's something you might either take a shot at or you simply can't because there's something either technically there's some kind of limitation. What would be what's a daydream sort of direction you'd like to add to
Oh,
it?
we had slushy machines that are 100% fruit juice slushy in the schools, and we had talked about trying to figure a way because they'd be great in the summer.
Yeah.
Logistically, to put those on the truck, it was very difficult, and we couldn't come up with. a way to
That'd
do
be
it.
outstanding.
Yes. No, I can't really think of any. Again, we have to follow the meal pattern. I
Right.
can't serve French fries in the
Right.
summer, but no, it's very it is fairly simple to do.
What are the guidelines again? How to for the public listening? Maybe they haven't. There are families who have moved in. There are folks listening today. The kids and grandkids maybe. This might be a great opportunity.
Yeah,
what are the restrictions, if any?
Kids are 18 and under.
Okay, that's
They must eat their meal on site. So that is one that a lot of times, especially if you live in a townhouse community, you want to come, you want to get your meal and go home.
Right.
Because of food safety and food bullying, unfortunately.
I'm
Food
sorry,
bullying.
what?
Where the kids would
bullying?
take the
Is that
food
what you-
home, and then the parents would take the food from the kids. You can get into some
I've never
heartbreaking stories.
I've never heard the term.
Yeah.
Huh.
So those are the two main reasons that it's a USDA regulation that they have to eat food on site. That's really it. Other than the meal pattern, we serve the whole meal. And families can, we have on our Facebook page, on our website, information if they didn't have kids in school that would have received a flyer home. We have signs up throughout the community. but they can certainly call our office to get more information. The website is
Right.
great for that as well.
When you're on site, what kind of interactions do you have with parents, grandparents, adults who are accompanying kids?
Really just talking to them, thanking them for bringing their kids, really, answering their questions. A lot of times the kids, they want to know who I am. I'm usually jump in and try to serve or hand out prizes. And it's just fun interactions with the kids. We don't normally get that throughout the school year.
How do the vehicles come into the program?
So our first vehicle is like a UPS style truck. We had a grant from National League of Cities, and then No Kid Hungry provided some funds for that. And then beyond that, the other 6 vehicles are our vans that we transport food from central kitchens to school locations throughout the school year. All we did was simply put the Meal Machine logo on them and took a van that would normally sit in the summer and move it out onto the road and serve meals.
Yeah. Perfect use. Could you expand it even more? Is there another reasonable expansion of this in the next year or two?
I think so. I think there's a couple of areas that we've got an eye on that, we've got to talk with, whether it's, the community, the association, whoever operates that building, or, we have to find a host site. You don't have to do anything other than say, yes, you can be here, you can serve your meals here, you can park your truck here. We bring trash cans, we take the trash. But you do have to have that initial interaction. But I'll tell you, in 7 years, I've never had anyone say no. Especially once I explain the program and what the ask is of them.
Without a commitment here, and obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, where aren't you right now that hypothetically would make some sense?
There's a lot of areas I'd love to be, but because we don't have the area eligibility, Smithsburg, Boonesboro area is 2 areas that I know there's need, but because of the requirement, my hands are tied.
And that's about the stats at the school or at the schools.
Correct.
Okay.
However, there's a little bit of outside the box thinking going on, and I know there's some groups in Smithsburg that are talking about maybe they host a site, we provide the food to them, and they pay us for the food. So then at that point, it's just really an independent effort. We're not relying on federal funds. We're taking local funds. Somebody that might decide to sponsor, and I'm throwing a number out. If it's $10,000 for the site to provide food to those kids for the summer, but that is being discussed as well.
What is there any fine print in that might get tricky?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because there have to be pockets elsewhere in the county, where the stats don't justify it, but like you said, there has to be a need.
Yes.
I mean, this sounds dark, but there are hungry kids, everywhere over the course of a year in this county. I mean, this county's not, flush, so to speak, at every turn. So, if you're just joining us, again, this is Lunchtime Live on WJEJ with Washington County Public Schools. We're here the 3rd Thursday of the month at this time. Today's show is sponsored by the Columbia Bank. We always thank the Columbia Bank for support of the show and for public education here in Washington County. Mike Embly is here as Supervisor of Food and Nutrition Services. As busy as all of that is, the summer also provides that much more work in preparing for next full school year. Well, how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, that's our other full-time job. It's great, though. We have a lot of exciting things happening. We're a new team in the department. We have 3 new team members, Tara Cole, Chelsea Martin, and Shannon Gronholm, all in their first year with the administrative team, and just phenomenal talent. And I think that we're just now scratching the surface on what we're able to do, and we're really focusing next year on community outreach and marketing, and letting the public know what we do. We do a lot more than just serve food. Right. There's nutrition education that goes into it. There's community involvement. There's a lot of misconceptions sometimes about school lunch, and we want to make sure that we get out there. We want to make sure that families know how to apply for free and reduced price meals. We've got a lot of great resources. We want to get that word out so people know, so that we eliminate barriers to how do I apply. And we've got so many things in the works with that's very, very exciting. Menu-wise, we got to a place where we feel that our menu is being received well. We're going to start, though, next year taste test groups. So if you'd like to volunteer for that, it's a great, it's going to be a great project. But we're going to get feedback directly from kids, bringing food in. That we're looking at potentially either for the second half of the year or for next year. A lot of times you're always working either 6 months to a year out, looking forward to the next project. And so we're going to bring kids in and get their feedback on the products because they're the customer. And as we get older, we may be a little bit disconnected. Now we all have, kids of varying ages, and I'll taste test products on my almost 5-year-old, which is great. So and Shannon has some kids in high school, and so we'll talk to our own kids, but we're going to bring in a variety of different groups from the schools to participate in that. So we're excited to get that effort underway.
How creative can we be?
You can
we have
definitely go outside the
guidelines.
box.
We have a budget. We have all of these practical limitations on it. So, how creative do you feel the department can be? Is the community up for creativity?
Yeah, that's how the meal machine came about. It was outside the box thinking. So you can be creative to a point. Right. I did a chart here not too long ago that shows us in the middle, and there's like 10 different facets around the outside between the budget and the USDA regulations and the board and the parents and the students, and there's so many things that you have to consider with every decision you make, but it can be done. There's definitely times where we have the dreams, and then we might have to scale it back a little bit to become reality. But no, actually two of the newest assistants said the same thing. It's like they love the creative part of the job, and that's what I do as well.
Have the federal guidelines changed to the point where we can either do different things, we can maybe answer requests from the community, from the kids that we weren't able to do before? Do those guidelines change on any regular basis?
They have not for
Okay.
a couple. For I'd say 2 years. We're waiting to see what's going to happen next. Manufacturers have caught up though, and I'll say this. Manufacturers
what does
have
that
caught
mean?
up. They've caught up to the new regs. So when it's a process to change formulations of a product. We serve Pop-Tarts. You can't buy the Pop-Tart that I serve in the grocery store.
Oh, is that right?
It's a whole grain.
So there's a
low
school
sugar.
There's a school Pop-Tart.
Absolutely. and that's so manufacturers have caught up. I will say sodium is the one that's the toughest and the one that we hear the most. The food doesn't have flavor. Well, sodium plays a big part of that, and that's not something, the sodium restrictions do hurt. But I will tell you, there's companies, especially your spice companies, that have seasonings that are no sodium, that if you use them right, you can come up with some pretty good stuff. We have a garlic seasoning that you can put on mashed potatoes, make garlic mashed potatoes. They're phenomenal.
So you guys have time, as busy as everything sounds in your department, all across the county, 40-some locations, you have time to tweak seasonings.
Yes. Again, because you're working.
Because I like that notion that you actually have time, to figure out what's going to play great, or what's going to be that much more acceptable to a pretty discriminating audience.
You're always tweaking. You're always looking at, okay, we're here. How can we do a little bit better? So you're always really evaluating, tweaking, changing,
right,
and this just continuing the cycle.
What didn't you serve this past year that maybe you did before? What did you take off the list? What have folks not seen in a school cafeteria over the last year or two that may either surprise folks or for whatever reason?
Boy, you've stumped me. I'm not so sure.
Because I get a look at the menus on the day-to-day and the week-by-week, but I don't know that there's been any drama in that. Oh my God, I wonder where the whatever has
no
been.
Petitions flying around that we took Nacho Grande off the menu or anything like that. No,
exactly.
No, I try to stay non-controversial, but
right.
no, I honestly, I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
We obviously, you'll try some things from time to time. You'll look at an idea, hey, that looks great. And you try it, and it's not so great.
When you say you try it, what does trying it mean?
We'll either
do you
bring
actually
it in
serve
and,
it? Or?
No, we test products
Okay.
extensively. You'll see a group of us sitting around. The brokers typically come in. present the product to you. They'll leave you with samples. We might send it out to a school and say, hey, get a couple kids in. Let's see how this works. Or it might be one that let's put it on a menu once, and then we get the feedback right away. I would say this was an interesting one that we hadn't served in a long time: corn dogs. And there's a formulated whole grain, low fat corn dog,
right?
And the kids loved them. And we were kind of thinking that it wasn't going to fly. So
right.
Sometimes we might think one direction. That's why the taste test group as well. And you're never going to please everybody.
Right.
I learned that in my restaurant days.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Right.
But you really we'll look at numbers and see where we are, and our management team. We rely on our management team to provide us feedback because they're the ones directly hearing from the kids every day.
Is there any regional approach to this where if we got kids from every region of the county, and I'm hearing from the kids at Clear Spring that, oh man, I can't believe we get the whatever, and the kids from Boonesboro aren't being served that so there aren't any specialty regional situations.
No,
there's nobody who's an ace at preparing this thing for the kids in Smithsburg.
The managers would probably tell you that.
Oh, is that?
But no, we
right.
keep the same menu for the county.
Okay, right.
I will say, we're going out doing something new this year. We're starting a salad bar program.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting with Williamsport High School. So yes, I guess they will be the school with the salad bar. But if it goes well, I'm a tester. I'm not going to go put 12 salad bars out.
Right.
I want to do one. Let's do it well. Let's see how it works. Fix what we didn't think of, and then move forward.
What are the criteria? What will you be looking for in that pilot, let's say?
So specifically at Williamsport High, we feel that we needed to add a line. The lines are long, so not just simply putting a salad bar in. This is taking care of a need to get more kids through lines, and we kept hearing that hey, we have prepackaged salads, but I know me personally, I like to make my own. So we'll be looking for how many are we serving. What's the feedback from the students? We have a menu set of what we're going to offer on the salad bar. It's pretty basic, your basic items, but really it's how acceptable it is to the kids.
Do you have an educated guess? I mean, for instance, our high school kids salad eaters?
I think so.
Yeah,
I do. I truly do.
That'll be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
I mean,
I think it'll work.
It seems like it's going to be a little tougher to manage, site by if you ultimately expand it to extra sites, to more sites.
Yeah,
A salad bar seems like a more of a maintenance situation.
It is, and we actually went down. One of my assistants, we drove down to Alexandria, Virginia, and we watched it in an elementary school. They have a full program, and they're rolling it out to every school. And these elementary kids, it was the first day of the program. They came in, got their salads, and it was like no big deal. Yeah. The little ones probably maybe do better than the older kids.
Maybe. Yeah, well, in many respects,
right.
Probably. Wrap up with a quick finish about the summer program.
So if anybody's interested in the sites, we have 8 different sites with 7 trucks. They can go to Washington County Public Schools website, www.wcpsmd.com. We have it on there. We also have a Facebook page, a Washington County Public Schools Food and Nutrition Services. I would encourage everybody to go out, find us, like our page, follow us. We're posting a good bit, and we really want the community to see what we're doing.
Right. There are there's a little bit of difference, hours, days of the week, that sort of thing. So just if folks go to check out the information, you can find out.
Yeah, absolutely, because they are. There's different times. The days are pretty standard.
Right.
The school buildings are closed on Fridays, but the community sites are open on Fridays.
Good deal. Thanks a bunch, Mike. I always
Thank
appreciate you coming out to do the show. This is Lunchtime Live. My guest today has been Mike Embly, Supervisor of Food and Nutrition Services. Today's show has been sponsored by the Columbia Bank. Big thanks from the school system to the